Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Dr. Leslie Koenig joining us here again. She's the owner of ketamine therapy. This is at Waybridge Ketamine Clinics, and again, based out of Omaha, Nebraska. And do we have the second location yet?
I'm flying there in about 2 hours.
Officially, it's in Nashville, right?
It is in Nashville. We have a place, but it won't be open until probably mid-December for patients to get treated.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for being here, for joining us. How can we contact you?
Our website, waybridgeclinics.com, or really the best way is to call us at 402-965-1371.
Awesome. Well, great to have you back here to talk more about the work you're doing at Waybridge and helping so many. Just to give some people a little bit of a background of what it is you do, let's start there. And then I would love to hear some more of your patient experiences too.
Oh, sure. So my background is an emergency physician, and I did that for about over 10 years when I decided to open my own clinic. And ketamine I had always been using in the emergency setting. I am a Navy combat veteran, so I used it in Afghanistan. I used it for pain. And then when the research came out about the effects for depression, I was amazed. And now that I have this available, it's truly life-changing for people.
Amazing. Well, we're excited you're back here talking to us and to give us an overview of what it's like, to be that patient in need and, some of the things we're going through that ketamine could be helpful for. Would you mind just sharing that first?
Oh, there are so many stories of what people go through before they come my way. And it is just heartbreaking what people have lived with for decades, with the depression, with the failed relationships. They just want to work, but they can't for whatever reason. And it's, the different, like individual stories. When you sit with patients, we have to have a box of tissues. And the fact is, though, when they're with me, they're about to start healing. So that's one thing where it ends up being so worth what I do, to hear these heartbreak stories turn into success stories.
Ah, beautiful. Well, thank you for sharing that. And let's talk about some of the things, that your clients are saying, how they're feeling, what it's like to go through. Would you mind giving us some insight into this?
Oh, sure. So a lot of our depression patients, and that's really the key thing that this medication works for, is treatment-resistant depression. So many of our patients have tried more than 2 medicines and given them their due course, experienced side effects, maybe achieve some improvement. However, they're still feeling like perhaps numb to life, or the medicines start to lose effectiveness. So basically all the pills that you see on TV, the ones that your physician will prescribe you. So the patient experience when they come in is they're afraid to have hope. And even with their family members, that's another key thing we don't want to forget about, is their spouse, their parent, their mother is trying to help and just can't find a way, and they can't do it for them. But oftentimes they will find us and are praying that we can do something more than what's been done. And I let them know that I will 100% do my best to do so. And what we then move into is the patient experience in the clinic, which is very unique to ketamine.
And what are some of the unique things with ketamine, would you say?
Yeah, so ketamine is not like any other medication. We use the infusion protocol, which I think is the best. It's 100% bioavailable. So when you receive a ketamine infusion, the key thing is that you get a little bit of preparation beforehand, because again, it's very, very different. It's not just you sit and watch a movie, get an infusion like an IV hydration spa. It's not quite like that. So the ketamine itself, like as I mentioned, I use it in the ER because it's a dissociative anesthetic, and patients will describe going off to la la land. Well, I want to get deeper into what that exactly is like when you get infusion. It's such a key thing. So the medicine itself has a healing effect on the brain, but your consciousness absolutely dissociates from the body into this just sub-dissociative state. And that la la land is a place that some guidance needs to happen. So I spend time with every patient beforehand, individually, talking about how to prepare. So What we do also is very intense, very individual dosing, so that when we go through that experience, it is very approachable and you are able to control what happens. So your consciousness kind of drifts off as the infusion begins, and it goes into this state that I equate it to if we were to take you to the beach, you are able to walk into the water and
Okay.
test the waters. However, if you're like, no, I'm not feeling it, you can kind of walk back to the beach. So,
Interesting.
yeah, that's one fear that a lot of patients have about doing anything mind altering. And this is a psychotropic medication. It works on the brain, so it does have that effect. And this medicine, I want to make very approachable and very tolerable. And the way that we do it with that intention, very safe set and setting and preparation, everyone really the goal is to keep your agency to start with. And so with that IV also, if you're like, nope, I don't like this, you can always stop it and give us a call. You can call us into the room and we can stop it for you and walk you through it. Now, that being said, we do a lot of preparation beforehand. So in this state, so say you're on the quote beach of the medicine, and then patients wonder, what do I do when I'm there? And we prepare everyone with meditation beforehand. So I've recorded a meditation that lasts about 3 or 4 minutes, and that's timed. I since I'm a
Okay.
meditation coach, I chose this kind of breathing technique,
Mm-hmm.
kind of settle into the experience, and then you float into this consciousness, this non-ordinary state of consciousness. And what I tell patients on day one to focus on is to trust, embrace, and surrender. So even if you've never meditated before, there's nothing to worry about because I am there to help you or my staff. And we start with trust, embrace, surrender. And to go into that a little bit more, what I want people to know about trusting is it's not about trusting me. I mean, you're free to trust us and you're free to trust, like, okay, they're watching my
Okay.
vitals. They're watching me on the video monitor. They're
Mm-hmm.
trusting that we've dosed them appropriately, but it's not about that.
Yeah.
It's about when you feel the medicine and your state of reality just shifting a little bit, like getting a little twinkly, getting a little sedated. Uh, Trust this is why I'm here.
Got
So
it.
yeah, that means that we got the dosing at the right amount that is going to create those effects that will achieve the results we're trying to have.
Okay.
So so for example, when ketamine starts to kick on, people may notice a sense of like numbness on their
Hmm.
face, or a sense of like large or small, kind of an Alice in Wonderland type of feel.
Okay.
And again, remember, this is a dissociative medicine. It's used as an anesthetic in a way. And so that's why it has that effect. So you can trust, okay, this is why I'm here. We've achieved the proper dosing so that we're going to kick off those things that Dr. Koenig mentioned about the neuroplasticity benefits, the dendritic
Got it.
stabilization, the BDNF.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to remember all of that. It's more about this is why I'm here. And then trusting yourself that you've done your research, you've looked into Waybridge clinics, and that trusting every step of the way that you're where you're supposed to be. So that's what trust means.
Got it.
Yeah.
And let me just ask, because if you don't mind me asking, but have you tried this yourself? Like, do you really know the experience of it? Do you mind, Leslie, if
Yeah, no, that's a question I get a lot actually. And in the clinic, in the ketamine clinic space, it's one of those things that uh in the trainings, everybody who has gone through the like not board certification, but some of the intense training, there is an experiential component. So
yeah.
to answer your question, yes, I did do one experiential.
Okay.
So yes, I can speak
So you
from
really
experience.
are ex perfect, just to say, because some people might say, well, she's a doctor, she doesn't really know how it feels. You clearly do. Got it.
Yeah,
Let alone all your colleagues and all your patients telling you. But good. Amazing,
yes.
amazing.
Yeah,
And
and that's why I can let you know, like there can be a little bit of anxiety before you start. I understand.
got it. That's good to know. And now, for someone who really needs these treatments, right? How long do they need it for? And how many sessions for each person?
Oh, sure. Well, ideally we do 6 sessions, and the reason for 6 is that I equate it to like when you're planting a tree. You need to plant the tree, but the root system hasn't really gotten where it needs to go yet. So you plant your tree and you have to water it a number of times until the root structure is able to self-sustain, which is why we do 6 sessions over 3 weeks. So that's twice a week. And ideally, by the end of those 6 treatments, you have achieved a place of kind of getting a new perspective. You have that neuroplasticity really kicked off so that you can have that self-sustaining antidepressant lifestyle. So that often looks like, implementing an exercise program, implementing a meditation practice. A lot of people get more spiritual and are like, there's this, I used to be more into that and I want to go back to that. So, and all of those things we really support so that the medicine has its best effects with you in your life in all areas.
All right, thank you for that, Doc. And what else about Waybridge would you say really makes, you all stand out and stand apart? I mean, other people are doing this, but there's, something to be said for your pride and obviously your commitment and dedication to leaving the ER, to opening something up like this to help so many. Clearly, yeah. So I commend you on that. And now taking on the leap of yet another office, which I want to talk about too.
Yeah, we stand out, I think, in that we do this preparation. Like the trust, embrace, surrender is something that when patients come to me, they are like, no one prepared me like this for my first session. But they're seeing me perhaps for their booster because they moved in from another state. So, and I always review that with patients who maybe never heard it. So the trust, this is why I'm here. Embracing is more of another meditative approach, where, say, for example, in the experience itself, you are wondering, ooh, all the answers are here. I need to take this back. I need to hold on to this thought or hold on to that realization. I need to take it back with me. And so there's this grasping and clinging aspect of it. And it's like, don't worry about it. These are seeds being planted in the subconscious. And you don't have to sit there and try to hold on to a thought. Like if you try to hold on to a thought, it'll just slip through. Because thoughts are kind of like that. So kind of just embracing it and not gripping it or even pushing it away. So sometimes you may be like, oh, this is unpleasant. This is a little too chaotic. But again, it's just like, can you be with the experience, even if you're not completely in control? Can you kind of just like sit with it, like hugging a cactus in a way, just knowing, oh, I can sit with this. I can sit with this. This is good for me. Yeah. Right. And then the surrender part is a very key one where just going with the flow. A lot of people will call it letting go with the experience. And this is just a good thing in life in general, where sometimes patients just are coming into it with that spirit of fear. And so it's kind of like that hands up, like, oh, yeah, I surrender, but you're kind of contracted and fearful. And I let patients know, like, think of it like you're on the top of a mountain or you're in front of the Grand Canyon, something so amazing that you're not like, okay, hands up, surrender, I surrender, let go. But it's like this big, expansive, I can let go. I can just fall into this and allow the healing to happen. So, those are just some ways that we're very different in that apparently, and this, I'm just hearing this from my patients of how we just set things up ahead of time to prepare you. And even if you haven't done any of this, we're there at the moment. And we cater to the 5 senses. We have aromatherapy beforehand to kind of settle into it as like a marker and a way to ground. Like if you're in the experience and you want to come back to reality a little bit, you can smell the, usually lavender is one that's a very popular choice. And then afterwards, we offer everybody some herbal tea made here locally in Omaha. And we're about journaling and we collaborate with your doctor. We really want to wrap our arms around everybody at every step of the way.
Wow. Well, let's talk about the latest endeavor. I know you're almost at the airport, right? You're headed there now?
I am. Yes.
Tell me what's happening in Nashville and where and what?
Yes, so it's going to be in the Green Hills area. And gosh, I'm going to go visit the space for the first time right now, but it's going to be based entirely off our Omaha clinic because we've worked there on just like the big things like our 0G recliners, our noise canceling headphones, and kind of gotten our decor down, gotten the set and setting right with the blankets and the weighted blankets, the eye masks. And then even the culture of the staff, we're very intentional about who we hire. So even locally in Nashville, Tennessee, we already have another emergency doctor, Dr. Kevin Stouffer. He has signed on. And so he's a wonderful person. His heart is truly the heart that we're looking for with our staff. And I'm going there actually to interview more nurse practitioners, and I've got two really great ones lined up. I'm very excited to meet in person. So um, as we expand, and I hope to expand nationwide, of course, to make
Of
this available
course.
to everybody. So in Nashville, the goal is that we basically recreate the magic that we created here in Omaha.
Oh my goodness, exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. And so how does it, you're going to manage both locations? I'm sure you have dedicated staff at each, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, so dedicated staff at each. I mean, the Nashville location will have locals. I will be coming in and out, and treating patients there as well as needed, simply because I am the medical director here at Waybridge. And I want to, let's see, my staff tells me that some of these analogies that I do are just so helpful for the experience. And
Hmm.
I just kind of give these analogies of what this space that's very wordless can be like. And so I want to train the staff locally as well to have. Like, for example, another kind of analogy that I don't know I've shared with you is the
Uh,
scuba diving analogy, is that
yeah.
ketamine is a little bit like, most people come in and they've done talk therapy, they've done medication, they've probably done every modality. And that's a little bit like snorkeling through the mind, where you kind of, you're on the surface level and you can kind of dive down a little bit to take a look at what's in the mind. But
Yeah.
you kind of get pulled back up to the surface due to many different reasons. But you want to get deep, but you just don't have the energy to do so, or the breaking of that barrier. And what
Uh,
ketamine does with the scuba diving analogy is that it's a safe oxygen tank on your back to dive deep into your brain,
got
like
it.
super deep. And you have a flashlight with you. So you can go into those like
Uh,
caves of the mind, like lift up the rocks, shine the flashlight, and be like, what is happening deep here in my mind that is echoing up to the surface? And those are
uh,
things and insights that you can bring back with you. And a lot of my patients who have done ketamine feel like this is a really great analogy for how it feels to go through this experience.
oh my goodness. Well, we are ecstatic that you're here informing us. And, what else is it that we haven't talked about that people should be aware of when it comes to ketamine therapy and the amazing benefits?
Gosh, we've talked about pain a little bit, and it's the thing in this space is we're always learning because it's such a new and emerging field. And so I'm always staying in contact with other ketamine providers. And so, for example, I recently had a pain patient who moved in from town and had a completely different protocol. But what Waybridge does is we are willing to talk to your provider. So I called our doctor and I said, hey, tell me about this new protocol. I just want to learn more. And
Yeah.
that's what we do. It's not about like me and what I do. It's what was good for you. And we're
Yeah.
willing to adapt and learn and add in new things so that we can constantly be better and better. We're constantly innovating, constantly advancing what we can do. And it's just whatever questions you have. I've had patients bring me questions about other medicines that I look into and I was like, wow, I don't think that one's a good idea.
Yeah.
So that's just the attitude that we have is, and if you have any questions or you want to implement something different, we're
Got it.
willing to talk to you and your physician. If your physician has any questions about our protocols or our dosing, or even the frequency, well, we're happy to explain what works and what we're willing to kind of look at again and revisit, because again, this is such a new and advanced field that I don't know everything, and we want to retain that spirit of humility but expertise.
Got it. Perfectly said. And as far as this amazing treatment, it's been around. Tell me from the beginning of time. Tell me originally what ketamine was used for. Could you just share that? It's nothing new, right? This has been
Oh,
approved by how many years now?
oh my gosh. So it was approved in 1970. And the indication was for surgery. And
Wow.
it's been around since then, the exact medicine that I infuse. But that was like much, much higher doses. And the cool thing is that about, I want to say 20 years ago, they first did some animal experiments
Okay.
for the antidepressant effect. And then they did human experiments at this dosing
Got
um,
it.
for depression about 15 years ago.
Wow.
And we've been finding more and more improvements ever since, more applications like Parkinson's, dementia, questioning if it helps for TBIs, CTE, DID. I mean, just it's endless what the new research is focused on. So it's been around. The medicine itself is been safely studied, and we're doing it at much lower doses and finding out more and more benefits.
Beautiful. And in the course of time, what do you think is going to change or evolve with this treatment? Is there anything that's happening in the medical world that people are talking about with ketamine? And is there any like late breaking details about this?
Oh, that's such a great question. The key things are, I think, education of this new application of it. That's
Okay.
the big thing that I'm seeing. And then also the stigma of this non-ordinary state I mentioned. People are like, oh, that must be psychedelic. And I wouldn't quite call it psychedelic. People want to compare it to those medicines. And I would say that there's an overlap in the preparation
Okay.
needed. But we do it for a medical
Got it.
reason.
Mm,
And it is very like that's the spirit of why I do it. So just the thing is like the stigma behind it, I think, with the bad press, which is really unfortunate because if you compare this to opiates, it is infinitely safer and infinitely more healing. So that's some things that people I really hope keep in mind when they look into doing this for themselves.
wow. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you for your time, for always being here. And in closing today, if someone wants to reach out, tell us again the locations you have and where.
17021 Lakeside Hills Plaza in Omaha, Nebraska. And our phone number is 402-965-1371.
Oh, beautiful. Well, excited that you're back here. Congratulations. Wishing you the best of luck in Nashville. How many days are you going to be down there?
Just two. It's a fast
Two.
trip. It's pretty
And
good, yeah.
where's the location again specifically?
In Green Hills, the address escapes me, but
I know it's near Green Hills Mall then, right? I love it over
yes,
there.
I believe it is. Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my goodness. Have so much fun. Enjoy. And really best of luck to you. And I love what you're doing. And hopefully I still plan on meeting you one of these days when I come to your area, okay? I have to get out.
Absolutely.
Thank
Yes.
you so much,
Yes.
Leslie. Dr. Koenig, I
No.
should say. I should not call her Leslie, but Doctor. Thank you so much. All right. Have a
All
great
right.
day. And thank you for always teaching us the latest and greatest and the benefits of ketamine therapy done the Waybridge way. Thank you. Bye bye.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.